Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Rounds 2 Redzone, episode sit and starts for today's games. So, my name is Ali, and
This is Brendan. I'm happy to be back. So let's get right into it today. So we're going to do for week one in the NFL season. Obviously, the Thursday and Friday night games already happened. Some good games to start the season. Eagles-Cowboys was real close. CD choked it away for the Cowboys. We obviously had the drama of the Spitgate, who spit first. And then, the surprise with the Chargers upsetting the Chiefs as well. Friday night in Brazil. We each have three guys we think you should start this week in week one based on their matchups, and three guys we think should ride pine this week. You want to take it away, Ali, and get us started?
hell yeah. And I want to start off with one of my favorite players going into this season. We are starting Emeka Egbuka. And I feel like that's not really that big of a hot take. I'm not going to lie to you.
I love that pick. My first guy's Baker, so I'll let you get into why you like Emeka, and I'm sure my Baker take won't be much different.
Absolutely. I mean, he is, first of all, this game, I feel like, has shootout potential written all over it between the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But more so, I mean, Baker slings the ball, right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure Liam Cohen gone, it's going to be a little bit different, but Baker still slings the ball. I mean, he's slinging the ball with Dave Canales. He always has been able to get the ball to his receivers. And specifically because the Atlanta pass defense is just atrocious. I mean, it's absolutely terrible. So, I mean, Bryce Young cooked against him, last week. And I like Bryce Young. Don't get me wrong. I like Bryce Young. But with that being said, he did cook them, last year as well. And it's just like, the pass defense is so bad, I think Emeka Egbuka is going to eat. And, I mean, he is the wide receiver 2, kind of almost undisputed on this team. And he might be the wide receiver 1 on this team, depending on what Mike Evans looks like, finally. Maybe he starts to show signs of, slowing down or whatever. So, I mean, it might be Emeka Egbuka who is the wide receiver 1. But, Baker is going to continue, being the way he was last year. I mean, he was fantastic last year. So he continues on that trajectory, and Emeka Egbuka just continues to eat. And I'm pretty sure, I don't remember who the corner is for
Atlanta.
Like, I don't know who
AJ Terrell was the guy. I was just going to say, he was the guy a few years back. Everyone was like, oh, he didn't let up a touchdown the whole year. He's a top 5 corner, but he's seriously lost steam since then.
But it's not even, I mean, if anything, is AJ Terrell still on the Falcons?
I think he is still on the team, yeah.
But their CP2 is pretty bad. I forget his name, whoever it is. He's really, really bad. And I mean, I saw like all these stats about how he is just a nightmare matchup for Emeka Egbuka. Or for Atlanta, that's a nightmare matchup because Emeka Egbuka is going to absolutely eat against him.
Oh, it looks like Mike Hughes looking quickly as the guy.
Yeah.
They had their nickels, Billy Bowman, never heard of him. So if Emeka's working out of the slot, could be a big day.
Yes, I mean, for me, I think that's why. I think it's, Emeka Egbuka 8 in Ohio State. I mean, that's already, it gets you a little battle-tested when you're playing for a big team because you're playing against really big teams as well, and he did well last year. He's always done well in his college career, and I think he is ready to take that step forward in his NFL career on his debut. Week 1 prediction, 100 yards, 1 touchdown. I'm joking, but he's probably still going to eat very heavily.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I think 100 yards and touchdowns well within his range of possibilities. I think, I agree. Baker's my must-start for a quarterback today. Last year against Atlanta, 23 and 24 points in his 2 games, quarterback 7 for both. I think like all we said, he's good. They're going to sling the ball today. When they played last year, they had a shootout the first time. I can't remember the score the second time, but I know the first one was that exciting overtime game with Kirk Cousins throwing for 500 yards and kind of his peaking as a Falcon.
Did you like that?
Like that game? Oh, exactly. Yeah, with Kirk. Yeah, he liked it at the time, but the Falcons didn't after a few more weeks. I think Baker's a must start. Oh yeah, the second game was kind of high scoring too, 31-26. It looks like Ali just looked up. So so both games pretty high scoring, kind of almost reaching. One did reach the 60-point margin total, other one close. So I think this game's going to be a shootout. The Bucs defensive backs are certainly nothing special outside of Antoine Winfield Jr. Or Antonio Winfield Jr.
Antoine?
Yeah. So we'll see. I think Baker's a good start. I think Emeka Egbuka, if you have both on your team, great stack. You're in a good spot week 1. Hopefully both guys go crazy. I don't think I need to explain too much more. We kind of went over. Scored a lot in the past. Good success. Not a great secondary. And good chance to really light it up again. So my second guy that I have today, I think this week, I tried to look for a more diverse position group, is my must start at tight end, I think this week, is TJ Hawkinson.
Oh, wow.
So I think TJ, last year against the Bears, between 2 games combined, 12 catches, 188 yards. So when you break that down, you're looking at about 6 catches for 94 yards in each game. So that's 15 fantasy points for a tight end. That's pretty solid. That probably puts you in the top 3, 4, 5 for the week. If he gets a touchdown in this game and mixes that in there, you're looking at like a 20-plus point tight end week, which would be huge. I also just think the context is important. You're looking at a rookie quarterback, well, not essentially a rookie quarterback in his second year, and Jettas is banged up. Jordan Addison's suspended. They might look to get him some easy throws early on, and a tight end is a great spot for that. Some play action throws that are nice and short, and Hawkinson's a guy who can dominate in that part of the field, kind of these short rollouts, get him open, and then kind of do stuff after the catch. So I think you could see that. The Bears, I think historically have been like kind of middle of the pack against tight ends. Not necessarily terrible. It's not exactly an elite matchup from that point. But I just think TJ Hawkinson could see a lot of volume really this week. And he could sneakily kind of sneak up the boards and even be tight end 1 for the week. Yeah, and like I said, I think he's probably at best case scenario, he's like the second option this week. Worst case, he's the third. And I think with Jettas even dealing with the hamstring stuff and preseason, who knows? Maybe Hawkinson ends up being the main focus of this offense today. So, what do you think about that, Ollie?
I think that's a great pick. I'll be honest with you. I kind of like the fact that the rookie quarterback kind of gets a safety blanket in T.J. Hawkinson, and T.J. Hawkinson's always been good. You know, I know he had a terrible injury a few years ago, and I think a lot of people were kind of out on him. But you know, he looked good last year. I mean, he didn't look great, but he did look good last year, and I think he's only going to get better. You know, this year. You know, considering, you know, he is pretty far removed now from his injury, so I think he'll be better than last year. And you need those easy passes for J.J. McCarthy. You know, Kevin O'Connell is going to make sure that his essentially rookie quarterback is, you know, in a position to succeed, and that's going to be a big part of it. But I want to go back to that game of Atlanta and Tampa Bay.
Oh, yeah.
And, guys, I'm saying it. Start Kyle Pitts. You know, you know,
here we go.
Every year we say, you know, Kyle Pitts this, Kyle Pitts that. You know, Kyle Pitts is finally going to break out. You know what? I'm going to fall for it one last time, right? I'm going to fall for it one last time. Michael Penix apparently has been raving about how good of a connection he has with Kyle Pitts and how he's going to get the ball to him. And they keep on talking about it. I think they're going to get the ball to him in this game. I mean, somebody has to eat besides Drake London, Bijan Robinson, right? And I'm pretty sure Darnell Mooney is still kind of banged up, right? So I mean, Kyle Pitts has to eat. Kyle Pitts has to eat today, and I think he's going to. I think he's going to go over his projection. I think he's going to have a good game. They're going to use him, obviously, in the red zone a lot. And I think he got used in the red zone a lot last year when Michael Penix was there, too, right? If I'm not 100% wrong. But he's going to have a good game today, I think so. Especially because, like we kind of said, I mean, it's kind of similar thought process to what we kind of talked about with Baker and Emeka Egbuka, considering that this game has a lot of, you know, shootout potential and that this game kind of might lead to a lot of people eating. So I think that's kind of my reason why I think Kyle Pitts will eat today. I don't know. What do you think about that, Brendan?
Yeah, I think those are all fair points. I think if it's a high-scoring game, there's a chance Kyle Pitts could see the end zone. I think, you know, every year, like you said, since his rookie year, we kind of go through this with Kyle Pitts. People like him. People hate him. I think this year his value has finally reflected all that. And so he's a guy, if in a redraft league, you probably got him pretty late. If he's a guy in your dynasty league, you've probably been clinging on to him for years now, and you're just afraid to trade him for him to break out. So, yeah, I think he's a guy worth starting this week with high upside. I do think I also am a believer in the talent. I think it's just a matter of getting him the ball and getting him open. I do think, like we said, I don't think Tampa's got like the most elite secondary in the world from a coverage standpoint. So I do think he could definitely have an opportunity to get open today. And again, another young quarterback you might look at like for a safety blanket, get him out and get him open, get him easy throws. Kyle Pitts would be a great guy for that. He's definitely explosive after the catch when he gets the ball. So, yeah, I think that's a good pick for this week. For my last pick for start, I have Kyler Murray, but also just any Arizona playmaker today. They're going up against New Orleans. I think New Orleans, in my opinion, is going to be the worst team in the league this year. I think they're going to be picking number 1 next year. And I think there's a chance they're going to be looking at Garrett Nussmeier or someone else, keep them in Louisiana.
Lenore Sellers?
Yeah, or Sellers. Yeah, I think they're going to be in the market for a quarterback next year. For one in this game, I think like I said, any Arizona playmaker, I think James Conner is a good bet. Just because if they start blowing him out, he could see a lot of action. Definitely could see some touchdown upside near the goal line. I think Kyler's a good guy to start because the New Orleans secondary is certainly nothing special. I think this could be a good game for him. I think there's a lot of pressure on this coaching staff to win this game. I think there's just a lot of pressure in general in Arizona on a lot of guys. I talked about before how Kyler I'm not sold on his job stability. I think it's a game they got to win. They're playing probably the worst team in the NFL. They got to start their season right. They got to start 1-0. If this team wants to maybe be a dark horse playoff candidate, these are the kind of games you got to win. And I think that they have shown last year they can have games where they put up massive point lines. They put up 30, 40 points, and their receivers go. Marvin Harrison goes crazy. I think it's a week you could see Marvin Harrison go for 100 yards and a touchdown, and maybe he doesn't do that again for 3-4 weeks after this, but I think he's going to start the year hot. I think this offense is going to be rolling right away, and just all those guys are good guys to plug into your lineup and get some points this week.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very fair take. I think they're going to do very well this week. I think specifically because, like you said, the Saints are not a very good unit, and also it's Kellen Moore's first game as well. He kind of has to feel everything out as well. So it's going to be a little tough one for the New Orleans Saints. But guys, I'm going to say it again. This might not be again that big of a hot take, but I don't know. I feel like people kind of always question this one, but start T. Higgins. T. Higgins is playing against Cleveland. Number one, Cleveland is not exactly the greatest team on the planet, right? it may just be actually the worst franchise of all time in the NFL.
Yeah, it's definitely up there, dysfunctional. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Cleveland fans, but T. Higgins is going to be up against the second option, which Denzel Ward's going to be on Jamar Chase almost the entire game. I mean, T. Higgins finished last year second in points per game for all wide receivers. I mean, I think that's pretty huge. And even last year, he had 18 and 19 points in PPR versus Cleveland. I mean, they're going to throw the ball a lot. That's kind of how their blueprint is. And T. Higgins is going to eat. I do not overthink it. Just start T. Higgins. T. Higgins is going to have a good game, maybe even a great game, depending on how well Denzel Ward locks up Jamar Chase. And I mean, I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm just saying, if it does happen, T. Higgins will eat even more, and all those targets that are going to Jamar Chase will start going to T. Higgins. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think T. Higgins is a good guy to start this week. I think anyone on that Bengals offense is a great guy to start. I'm not super sold that the Browns defense is going to be real stout this year. So yeah, I think all those guys, real good chance to start them. I think T. Higgins, Denzel Ward's definitely the best corner they have, and he was already trash talking Jamar earlier this week. So I think you could see him on Jamar a lot, and I mean, he's talented. He could lock Jamar up X amount. I think Jamar is still going to get his, but I think you could see a big T. Higgins game. I do think this could be the best the Browns offense looks all year against that Cincinnati defense, which is not exactly very good.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
This as well is that the Bengals never really play the preseason because they always start off very, very slow.
Yeah, they seem to lose these week 1 games.
Mm-hmm. But this year they kind of made it a point. They're going to play. Yeah. They played the preseason games. They're really prepared for week 1 this year, so I think that's one of the bigger reasons why people tend to say, hey, should we be starting the Bengals, receivers besides Jamar Chase, or should we really be starting, sometimes even Joe Burrow, because he did not play well last year at week 1. But with that being said, they did really make it a point to prepare for week 1 this year, so I think they're going to come out, all guns blazing this week.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they've got the message. These slow starts are really costing them late in the year when they're trying to get into the playoffs and stuff. I think they're going to make a point of emphasis to win this week. So, and we'll see. Yeah, I think last year they killed me in all my survivor pools because I had them week 1 against the Patriots and they managed to lose that game. So this year I'm not touching them with a 10-foot pole in survivors, but they should win this game for sure. So. All right, and then did you have one more? Or no, that was
it for my starts.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So I can kick us off with our sits. For me, this is a guy I really like for the whole year, and I've talked about before, is Calvin Ridley. But I think today he's a guy, if you can sit him, probably not a bad idea. They're going up against the Broncos. I think you could maybe Calvin Ridley see some decent target share and volume still, but I think there's concerns with Pat Surtain is probably going to be following him around. They have no other real receiving threats, so I imagine Pat Surtain's probably just going to follow him around the field and kind of try and erase him from this game. I do think it's Cam Ward's first game. He could struggle. I mean, maybe he comes out of the gates flying and they win today and they upset the Broncos and Calvin Ridley goes for 2 touchdowns, 150 yards. But when you're just setting your fantasy lineup, you just got to go on what's more likely to happen. I think what's more likely to happen is Pat Surtain kind of shuts Ridley down today. You see maybe he gets a decent amount of catches, but not a ton of yards, struggles to get in the end zone. And you see Cam Ward struggle in his first game with his kind of best receiving option getting pulled. This Denver defense is pretty solid. They had a solid year last year. They're really good against teams that didn't make the playoffs last year and bad against teams who did. I don't myself envision Tennessee making the playoffs this year, so I think Denver probably wants to roll in this one. So I think, he's a guy you probably don't, if you can afford to sit him, you might want to throw him on the bench this year, or this game, I should say, sorry.
Yeah, for sure, and I totally agree with that. I think Cam Ward might have a little bit of a tougher game, obviously, because it's his first start in the NFL, and that's a big deal. Maybe he proves us all wrong, and he just comes out, throws 5 touchdowns or whatever. But highly unlikely, given how good the Broncos' defense is, as well. So the sit that I have is mainly the Colts pass catchers, except for Tyler Warren. And the reason why I say that is not because I think they're bad or anything like that. I just think, again, I don't understand the hype around Daniel Jones giving these pass catchers really a big boost. Besides Malik Neighbors and, it's just I don't remember Daniel Jones making a lot of people very fantasy relevant. Saquon Barkley became the best running back in the NFL by far when he left Daniel Jones. So, that's just kind of something I think about sometimes. But either way, I think it's going to be a little tough to kind of decide who to start from the Colts pass catching options, except for Tyler Warren, either way, because we don't know what even Daniel Jones' best option is going to be. We don't know if it's going to be Josh Downs. We don't know if it's going to be Michael Pittman. We don't know if it's going to be AD Mitchell. It could be literally anyone, and we don't know that. And maybe it's somebody different every single week, and it's going to be hard to predict. Maybe we can based off the matchups. Whoever's good in the slot, whoever is good outside. Maybe you can predict it from that. But this week, I think it's going to be a little rocky. Again, it's going to be his first game for the Colts. Number one, I think that plays a massive role in this. And number two, if Miami starts to get ahead really early, they're going to be forced to throw the ball. And I just don't envision Daniel Jones being on the same page as his receivers, that this early in the season. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everyone eats. But, that's just kind of something I think about. I think I personally am not starting any of the Colts pass catchers, again, except for Tyler Warren. But and maybe based off this week, maybe based off what we see, maybe he clearly has a favorite target that, that's just absolutely getting bombarded with targets, and maybe we start to move that person moving forward. But I don't know. I'm not necessarily trusting them.
Yeah, I agree. I think, especially like you said, this first week, I would proceed with caution. I think Tyler Warren is a safe bet. If he's kind of your guy, you have to start. If you're kind of interested in starting a tight end, he's a guy that's not. I wouldn't say he's a must start. I wouldn't say he's my thing is I guess he's just not a must sit. I agree. I think Daniel Jones could be looking to make safe throws, and you could see Tyler Warren get some catches. I do think the Colts want to integrate him into the offense early and often. So I like him. I think he could have some upside. I do remember when I was scanning through last night and this morning that the Dolphins' defense isn't the greatest against tight ends in the last couple of years either. So he's probably the guy to start in that kind of situation if you do have to or want to start one of those pass catchers. I do think they're probably going to lean into Jonathan Taylor today. Like we said, Daniel Jones historically not the greatest. I think if you're really looking for a sneaky, maybe he could do well, have a good first week, is Josh Downs of the pass catchers. I'm not real big on Pittman this year. Could have a bounce back season with Daniel Jones, but I don't know. There's just a lot of variability in that. I think the one thing with Josh Downs, I'll say, is Daniel Jones did feed Wendell Robinson at times in the last couple of years and as a slot receiver. So maybe Josh Downs kind of sees that volume. But I agree with Ali. Until we kind of get a couple weeks of kind of statistics here to know who he's going to be looking to and stuff. I don't think I feel super comfortable starting any of those guys unless you basically have to. But I think, I'm okay with starting Tyler Warren. I think feel pretty confident he's going to see some volume early, and they're going to use him in different ways. So, but I agree with kind of sitting those guys overall for sure. All right. And then my second kind of sit for this week is Jordan Love. So Jordan Love and the Packers are going up against Detroit. Last year, I just got to pull it up again. I closed out. Jordan Love struggled against Detroit. They have a pretty elite secondary, as most people know. I think cornerback's a position they kind of have shuffled around with, but they got Terry and Arnold hopefully takes a step, and then they have one of the best safety duos in the league with Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. Whether or not you feel like Kirby Joseph is a dirty player is up to you. But I think, they're a real good secondary, which is funny because in the past they were one of the worst secondaries in the league. But they're overall good defense. You're looking at, you're getting Aiden Hutchinson, I believe, is playing today, I saw. So you're hoping he takes kind of can return somewhat to form. But against Detroit last year, 11.92 points the first time for Jordan Love, and against them the second time, 14.54. He was quarterback 23 and 16 in those two games, so not exactly someone you're looking to start. If you have to start him, that's one thing. I think in most redraft leagues, start one quarterback. You're probably not starting him this week, but in kind of even a super flex, if you have another option, might be good to look the other way. I just think even looking in past years before that, against Detroit, 19 points, had a good game that year time, but against them again, not as great. So it looks like he's just kind of struggled against Detroit in the last year and a half or so. Detroit is going to be hungry to win, as always, and kind of prove after all offseason, all the talk about everyone else in their division. I think, who knows, maybe he comes out and he slings it and plays real well, but I think he's a guy I would just avoid with this matchup.
That's fair. I think, Matthew Golden is, separating as a wide receiver one, and it is his first game in the NFL, so I think it might be a little bit tough. I think a lot of his other pass catchers are kind of banged up, too, so I think that's part of the problem. But, I think the next person I have to say is Matthew Stafford. So I know this is kind of maybe a little bit of a hot take, I guess, maybe not, but Houston's defense is absolutely elite, right? That's also number one. Number two, Matthew Stafford had an injured back all of pretty much off season. Is not necessarily looking the greatest, and he's playing now, but we don't know what that back looks like. You know what I mean? So that could be a potentially complicating problem, and specifically again with Matt Stafford. He has had 12 finishes outside of the top 12 last year, and 4 within the top 12. It's not necessarily promising output from him as a fantasy quarterback. Now, do I think Puka and Devontae Adams will be fine? I think they'll be fine. And especially in PPR, because they'll get the receptions that they need. But it's just going to be tough to kind of trust Matt Stafford to, be at 100% and be, a top 12 quarterback in this upcoming matchup against the Houston Texans, because they're a very tough unit. Derek Stingley and that entire defensive line.
Kamari Lassiter, and they got C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and then you got Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter on that D-line.
It's tough. It's very, very tough, especially week 1, too. I don't know. I would personally sit Matt Stafford because I think there's better options to start this week.
Yeah, I agree. I think Matt Stafford, all the injuries off. He missed a ton of camp. Don't know how that kind of plays into his chemistry with Devontae Adams being new and stuff. Obviously, I think Puka's a guy who's going to see a lot of targets and volume just because the way that offense runs. So I would probably still play Puka. I think Matt Stafford is already not always necessarily a week-to-week starter. I think he's a guy you want to just really play on matchups alone. If he is your main quarterback, you probably have bigger fish to fry in a dynasty league or something like that. But I think this week I'd stay away from him. I would definitely still start Puka. Devontae's a guy, even because of what we're talking about with Stafford. I would kind of weigh back and forth. My last sit is kind of a wild card, kind of outside the box, and I have Tyler Loop. So he's the rookie kicker for Ravens, trying to replace the historic Justin Tucker, obviously no longer in the league for some personality flaws, I would say.
Severe.
Yeah. So So Tyler Loop. Main reason is, I know I'm biased. I'm a Bills fan. I think the Bills are going to hopefully pull this one out and kind of keep this game a little closer. This game could very well turn into a shootout, and you could see. But I think with that, because this is a close game, this game's going to mean a lot at the end of the year. Both teams know that. You're going to see more going for it on 4th and shorts and stuff like that, so that could lower his field goal chances. And I just think Buffalo's a tough place to kick. I haven't looked specifically at the weather this morning, but Buffalo, the way the stadium's built, a lot of swirling winds can happen. Kickers tend to miss here. Obviously, it's not like we're in the midst of December or something like that with the snow and everything, but the guy's playing his first NFL game. It's a big game. Big kick could come up, nerves, swirling winds, missed kicks. That's what I'm thinking today with Tyler Loop, and I think was just looking for a kind of an outside the box. Everyone probably just plugs whatever kicker they drafted in. If you didn't draft Tyler Loop, great. If you have him and you have someone else somehow, maybe plug someone else in. But I'm hopeful also that the Bills are going to beat the crap out of the Ravens today. So we'll see. Just throwing it out there.
Hey, go Bills, baby.
Yeah.
But my last one, I'm also going to throw a little bit of a wild card. I actually had somebody else for sit, but I'm going to go with a wild card start over here. Start Chigakonkwo, tight end for Tennessee Titans.
Whoa.
Listen, I'm going to throw it out there, right? If you have better tight end options, obviously start him. You know what
I hope you got better options. Otherwise,
I mean, if you have like Trey McBride, don't start Chigakonkwo and then come to me and be like, oh man, Trey McBride outscored Chigakonkwo. Like, yeah, obviously he did. Like that was kind of obvious. But if you kind of struggling at tight end, I think he's a great option to start this week because, like we said, Cam Ward might struggle a little bit as a passer this week because Calvin Ridley is locked up because of Pat Surtain, but he might need those easy layup passes, and that's where Chigakonkwo is going to come in. I mean, his last few games last year, he did really, really well as well, Chigakonkwo. And I think there's a very good chance that he could have a pretty decent game, this week because he might be the safety blanket for Cam Ward all game. I mean, last year in the last 3 weeks, 17 points, 23 points, and 13 points. That was the last 3 weeks of last season. And he might just start off right where he left off,
Maybe.
And I think, considering, again, he is going to be the safety blanket for Cam Ward.
Yeah.
Because of, what's kind of going on in this game.
With Surtain kind of covering Ridley.
Exactly. So, especially in PPR formats, I think he could be in a tight end premium also. Like, it could be a very, very useful option to start. He might get, 5, 6, 7 receptions based off of how it's kind of going. I mean, that's kind of why I think Tony Pollard is also a pretty good option, too, just because of the fact that, he's going to be getting a lot of receptions. He is pretty good as a receiving back, so he might be the safety blanket as well for Cam Ward. But, if you don't have any other better options, start Chigakonkwo. See what happens, If anything, it'll be fun first week in fantasy football.
Yeah. And then I just have one more kind of just my sleeper start of the week. Not really someone I would say for sure you have to start or is not a must start, but just a sleeper I like is Justin Fields this week. He got a revenge matchup against Pittsburgh, a team that, he was playing well for. He looked good. Started the first 4 games. They're 3-1, and then they benched him. And, he's got to be feeling, frustrated with that still. He definitely wants to go out today and show him. I think Aaron Rodgers does too. I'm a little lower on Aaron Rodgers, just like fantasy upside without the rushing. I think Fields, you could see run for a touchdown or 2 today because he's all mad about what happened last year and he wants to prove himself. So I know the Pittsburgh defense is good, so that makes it not a great matchup. So I'm not saying you got to start Justin Fields. I'm just saying he's a sleeper. Maybe you see him end up in the top 5 fantasy quarterbacks this week when he's running all over the Steelers. So that's the last guy I have. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening to us. Follow us on X at Rounds to Redzone. Follow us on YouTube at Rounds to Redzone. Subscribe, comment, like. We appreciate your support. Everybody have a great Sunday, great week 1. And just remember, week 1 does not represent the entire season.
That's right.
QJ and Hollywood Brown went off this year. I actually saw a tweet this morning, and it actually made me laugh a lot. Somebody said, this was like 3 days ago before any of the games had even happened. It was like it's week 1. It's always interesting. Everybody plug QJ Hollywood Brown and DeAndre Hopkins into their lineups just in case.
Yeah, and Javonte Williams too. He's another one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just stuff happens at week one. You know, don't panic trade your studs. Don't panic trade players that, you know, maybe did not do very well the first week of the season, and then they'll be fine the rest of the way. So don't panic trade. Don't all of a sudden trade for somebody who may not be good all season long and has just had a good game week one. But yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.